Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be having a survival gear showdown between the Ecoflow River and the Jackery 300. These devices are smaller, more budget-friendly power stations and are good options if you want a solar power solution, but you don't have $1,500 or more to spend on a larger system. They were designed for short power outages or camping trips, but they could also be used for longer-term situations to keep things like rechargeable flashlights, radios, and other items powered up. I'll be going over the specs and special features of each one, show you the types of devices they can run, and talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each. And as I'm doing that, please share which one you would pick in the comments below. I'd like to thank Ecoflow for sponsoring this video, but please understand that I like both companies. I've used products from both of them, so I'm going to try to keep it as fair and objective as possible for them, but also more importantly, I'm going to keep it fair and objective to give you as the viewer the best, most accurate information possible if you're trying to decide which one of these to purchase. Let's start by going over their specs and how they compare to one another. Their overall capacities are pretty similar. The Ecoflow River has an overall capacity of 288 watt-hours, while the Jackery 300 is 293 watt-hours, so the Jackery will hold just a little more energy. However, you can double the River's capacity by adding an additional battery, which is a feature that the Jackery doesn't have. That makes the River a great way to start if you're on a limited budget but think you may want to expand your system's capability later on. One area where the River really outperforms the Jackery 300 is its ability to handle more of a load at once. The Jackery 300 can handle 300 running watts and 500 peak watts. The River, on the other hand, is rated for 600 running watts and 1200 surge watts. It can also run some devices that normally require up to 1800 watts thanks to the XBoost feature, which I'll cover more later on in the video. This will give you the flexibility to run more power-hungry devices, at least for a short time. When it comes to ports, the River has 3 AC ports while the Jackery 300 has 2. All of the AC ports on both units are capable of accepting 3-prong grounded plugs. The River has 3 USB-A ports, one of which is a quick charge port, and 1 USB-C port. The Jackery 300 has 2 USB-A ports, one of which is a quick charge port, and 1 USB-C port. Both devices have a car power output, however, the River also has 2 DC 5521 ports, which are useful for powering electronics such as routers. For displays, the Jackery uses an LCD that shows you input wattage, output wattage, along with how much battery you have left. It shows battery remaining as both a number and a graph. The display on the River is a big step up. It has a more modern look and shows how much time you have remaining before you run out of power, in addition to showing the battery percentage, input wattage, and output wattage that the display on the Jackery shows. When charging, it'll also tell you approximately how much time you have remaining until it is fully charged. The Ecoflow River also has a couple of nice extra features that the Jackery doesn't. It has a flashlight with 3 modes, low, high, and SOS. And while this isn't going to be a replacement for a regular flashlight or headlamp, it could be useful for providing a little extra light in a living area and could help you see better while you're getting devices plugged into it. The River can also be connected to the Ecoflow app, which will allow you to control it remotely. You'll be able to view things like power levels and temperature, control the flashlight, and turn outputs on and off. Both power stations are lightweight and don't take up too much room. The River weighs around 11 pounds, while the Jackery 300 weighs just over 7 pounds, making the Ecoflow a little bit larger and heavier. When it comes to price, these devices are going to kind of be in the same ballpark with one another. They're in the $300 to $350 price range, just depending on where you get it from, when you get it. But Ecoflow is offering a promotion right now on Amazon, where if you use the links in the description and the pinned comment below and apply the coupon at checkout, then you can get $70 off. And also, this is a product that Ecoflow does promotions on regularly, so if you come across this video later on and maybe you missed the promotion that I'm talking about right now, it doesn't hurt to check out the link and see if there's a promotion going on now. Now here's the part that most of you probably came for, taking a look at what these two devices can actually power. Both the Ecoflow River and Jackery 300 will do an excellent job keeping essential devices such as cell phones and flashlights charged up. Each one should allow you to charge a cell phone around 20 or 30 times each. Even if you aren't able to recharge the power stations as you go, this is more than enough power to keep devices running during short camping trips or power outages. If you pair them with solar panels, you should be able to keep these devices running indefinitely. The River and Jackery 300 also do a good job recharging other types of batteries. I have a healthy supply of power tool batteries along with some rechargeable AA's and AAA's. These allow me to keep things like lanterns and fans running pretty much as long as I need them to. They also do a great job powering various types of lights. Considering that most lights produced today are energy-efficient LEDs, you should be able to keep living areas lit for at least a couple of days on one charge, especially if you conserve power and only use them at night. If you live in a warm climate, the Ecoflow River and Jackery 300 will have no problem running fans, at least for a few hours. I live in Texas, which can get pretty hot, so fans and solar generators are a big part of my long-term preps. Both devices can also run different types of electronics. You'll be able to power a laptop for several hours, and that's nice if you have work that you need to get done during a power outage. You'll also be able to run a TV and Blu-ray player for probably between 2 and 4 hours, depending on the size of your TV. The Ecoflow River and Jackery 300 will also be able to run common pieces of medical equipment. I don't have one, but both devices should be able to run a CPAP machine overnight. They can also run other things like humidifiers to help you sleep when you have a cough, along with diffusers if you're into essential oils. Being able to use equipment like this would be a big comfort if you got sick during a power outage or a grid down event. However, there are some big differences between what the River can handle and what the Jackery 300 can handle. Since the River is rated for double the running watts of the Jackery, you'll be able to run more devices at once. At 600 running watts, the River won't have any problem if you want to run a couple of lights and a fan at the same time as you are charging your cell phone or other devices. You'll also be able to run some more power-hungry devices, most notably kitchen appliances, hair dryers, and some tools. Part of the reason why the Ecoflow can power devices that require higher wattages is because of its XBoost feature, which allows it to power devices that would normally use somewhere between 600 and 1800 watts during use. Now, it's important to understand that when the XBoost feature is in use, this device, it's still using a 600 watt inverter, so it's not really producing 1800 watts. The way the XBoost works is when the River connects to a device or an appliance that tries to use more than 600 watts of power, the River just basically tells it, no, I'm going to give you 600 watts and that's it. And for some appliances like electric griddles, it says, okay, so no matter how high you dial it up, it's going to stay at whatever level is going to be using 600 watts. Now, other devices, things like washing machines and full-size refrigerators that require more specific wattages to operate properly, they're just going to shut down. Okay, so when the River tells it, I'm not going to give you more than 600 watts, they basically go, okay, and then they take a nap. Being able to operate in this way allows the River to handle devices that it wouldn't be able to otherwise, things like kitchen appliances, hair dryers, and certain tools. Other power stations, such as the Jackery, they'll just shut themselves down to avoid overloading. Both the Ecoflow and Jackery can be recharged via AC power from either a wall outlet or generator, a car power port, as well as solar panels. Ecoflow power stations generally have some of the fastest charging times on the market, and the River is no exception. When charging from a wall outlet or generator, the River can be completely recharged in just over an hour and a half. For the Jackery, if you're using just the AC adapter, it'll take around 4.5 hours to fully recharge. However, you can reduce this to 2.5 hours if you're using a USB-C cord simultaneously with the AC adapter. I think that this difference in charging times is most important if you need to recharge your power station using a generator, like if you find yourself in a situation where you need to use it to power devices, but you haven't had any sunlight for several days. The Ecoflow, since it recharges faster, will allow you to run your generator for less time, which will save fuel. And that's a big consideration if you're wanting to be prepared for some sort of long-term grid down event. When recharging from the power port in your car, the River can be fully charged in around 3 hours, while the Jackery 300 will take around 5. Being able to charge your device in this way is a good feature if you plan on using your power station on road trips or while camping. When it comes to solar charging, the Ecoflow River can use up to 2 110-watt solar panels or one of their 160-watt solar panels. Under ideal conditions and using 2 of the 110-watt panels, it can be recharged in as little as 3 hours. The Jackery 300 can be connected to one 100-watt solar panel and will take 3.5 hours to reach 80% charge. I do, however, really like the design of the Jackery panels. They're easy and fast to set up, and they also have a rigid structure which makes them feel pretty durable. They also have USB ports on the back that you can use to charge devices directly from them. The Ecoflow panels, however, have the benefit of being more water resistant than the Jackery panels, and during storage and transportation, they are going to be protected a little bit better because they're inside of a zippered case. So now the question is, which one of these devices would I choose if I was trying to decide which one to purchase? And when it comes to reliability, they're both pretty solid. None of them do anything weird while you're trying to use them. They don't shut down randomly when they should still be operating properly, at least not that I've found. So that's kind of a non-issue. They're both in the same price range, so in my opinion, it really has to come down to performance. And in my opinion, and based off of the specs and things that I have observed, the Ecoflow is the clear winner. The River can handle double the load of the Jackery, and while it has a slightly smaller overall storage capacity, the difference is pretty small. You can also double the River's capacity by adding an additional battery, which is nice. The Ecoflow also has more ports, which it is able to support thanks to its more powerful inverter. The difference in charging speeds is another important consideration, and the River recharges significantly faster than the Jackery 300 regardless of which method you use. And the addition of other features like app connectability and a flashlight help also. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Be sure to drop which one you would pick in the comments below. Thanks again, y'all have a good one.